Okay, try that again. Hi, welcome to the Joy of Resin. My name is not important. So, we have a deep pour session ahead of us today. So, this is one of my custom pieces that I have started work on as a tester, and I've prepared some flower petals from my neighbor's yard, and we're going to do a cementing layer right now to get these all to stay in place so that I can pour a capping layer on top of that. So what we're doing today is a very thin layer on this piece with just plain clear. So, clear resin, fresh out of the vacuum chamber. A generous helping of alcohol spray, and then we start gently pouring. I do not want this layer to be thick because I don't want these flower pieces to float. I need them to stay pretty much where they are because they're already right up at the lip of the top edge of the mold. And if I go much higher and they start floating, then I'm going to have a raised edge, or I won't have a smooth surface when I'm done. So hopefully that's enough. Well, not hopefully, that was enough. That's as high as I'm taking this. All right. Next up, we have the first layer of the new coffee table piece. So this guy's going to go right center in that. And again, doing a cementing layer right now, because this guy is pretty much even with the lip of the mold as it is. So I'm going to be right up to the edge to get this to work. Okay. Thankfully, that puppy's big enough, thick enough, that I don't really have to worry about it floating much, even though it's going on top of a layer of resin. There we go. So, quick alcohol spray, quick wipe down, get some of this debris out of here real quick. And one more spray. All right. So like I said, very thin layer to start us off. Actually, that is floating, which is not ideal. So, I need some tape. That'll do. All right, so like I said, this thing comes right up to the lip. So if I use a little bit of packing tape, I should be able to seal it in place. Would help if my packing tape wasn't covered in pollen, but here we are. Eep. Okay. So that's all that this layer needs. All right. Before I move on to my final piece, I have a couple of little magic kitties that I have filled with flowers and maybe some bees. And I'm just going to partially fill these with this orange resin that I mixed up. So again, with organic material, we have to be aware of the potential for floating. So not filled all the way up, giving us room to cap it later once everything is nice and sealed in place. All right, and that should be just enough of that left over to do my other project. Pardon me. All right, last up for today. I had an idea. So I have a couple of molds that aren't exactly molds, so to speak. They're very thin, detailed pieces that I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do with them. Like, they're only a few millimeters deep, so pouring into them is incredibly difficult. And the one time I've tried to do it was messy as hell. But I did realize that the way the molds are made, I think they're supposed to go like this on the bottom of another mold. And then you pour on top, and it gives you details on the bottom of the piece, or on the top, depending on what your orientation is going to be like. So I'm going to try that with this guy because I think it'll work for this. Because the one of these that I've made so far before was very shallow and difficult to, delicate, more so than I wanted. So I'm gonna see if I can use this like this without it floating away. So we're gonna start with our orange. And we're going to smear to release those little air bubbles, just like we do with dice. Probably should have sprayed this with alcohol, but if I had, it would have caused a lot more bleeding of the mica powder. I kind of wanted to avoid that this time. Alright, and then we take the last of our clear. Alright. Alright, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Just to make things a bit more interesting. As soon as we clear these nozzles, honey, where's my super suit? That was the sound I make when I'm trying to locate something. I wasn't actually looking for my super suit. Okay, start with orange. And something a little darker as contrast. Okay, now we just take a little serve straw and no idea how this is going to look, guys, if it'll look cool or terrible, but we're going to try. We are experimenting because this is a science. Okay, I think that's it for this piece. So I'm hoping when I'm done here, once I've built it up the rest of the way, that I can pour into the void in the back something, you know, contrasting color like a black or a white or something, and it will fill in those spaces and really pop as a background to the rest of the table. Not sure if it's going to work out or if I'm just going to make a mess, but we shall see. All right. Carefully move this to the cabinet. All right. Good to go. No muss, no fuss, no spills. All right. I'm going to let you guys go and get cleaned up and probably take a shower. So later, y'all. Thanks for joining me.